Oh, Kip, you are here. I lied.
Could have just left you standing in the back. Just looking around. Yeah. Realize you're in here.
How are you? And also, I forgot to say, because we are not usually up here, you'll have to push that button. That's the push to turn your mic on. If you see the red light, it means that it's off. And sometimes it can be hard because it's like a flat. It's not like really like a real push button to a degree. So yeah. So with that, bringing in, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please do the same. All right, the agenda has been approved. Moving on, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Good.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Any discussion?
I just wanted to point out the agenda says it's approval of the minutes from March 6th, but online it's the minutes from April 3rd. So we're approving the minutes from the April 3rd long-range planning meeting.
Is that in the summary of the item description?
The summary actually says the minutes from February 7th.
Okay.
But we did have a meeting on the 3rd of April, and those are
So
the
it's not
minutes
in
that
here,
were.
it's on Assembly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this, the Assembly, like description and summary.
The assembly description says February meeting, the paper says March, but we're actually approving April 3rd minutes. And those minutes are fine, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Assembly does weird things sometimes.
Yeah.
Any other discussion about the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor to approve the minutes, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please do the same. All right, the minutes have been approved. Moving on to our one item for open issue is attendance areas process timeline. Mr. Gooch and Mr. Ofield, if you all wouldn't mind.
Go ahead, Giselle.
Did I get it? All right, good. Good evening, everybody. All right, so we're going to present about our attendance area boundaries and just want to give a few feedback around this process. So over the few weeks, we have been busy reviewing the feedback we received and using that to create the final attendance area options. We would really like to thank everyone who took the time out to provide their feedback on our initial options. The overarching goal in this process to create an attendance area plan that will both accomplish the district objectives and is acceptable to the community. Receiving stakeholder feedback is an imperative step in this process, and we are grateful that so many people chose to participate. The feedback that was received was used to inform the changes that were made from the initial options to create the final options that we will present today. And at this time, we will play a video from Woodpart, our consultant that will present the two new options based on the feedback.
My name is Karen Jackson with Wolpert, previously Cooperative Strategies. I will be taking you through the Columbia Public Schools attendance area change process and the final options. We run a data and community-driven process that not only takes into account district goals, but also community feedback. We value all stakeholder feedback, whether it's from the board, administration, or community, and we have used it to craft the final options, which you'll see later in this presentation. This process has been split into 3 phases to determine the boundary or attendance area changes over the next 3 years. Phase 1 changes have already been approved by the board, with implementation pushed to the 2025-26 school year. Phase 1 only impacts Fairview Elementary and Russell Boulevard Elementary. Phase 2 will be implemented in the fall of 2025 and will fill a new addition at Battle Elementary, balance enrollments among the secondary schools, and balance enrollments among the elementary schools that will not be impacted by the new Southwest Elementary School. The elementary attendance areas impacted in Phase 2 are mainly on the east side of the district. Phase 3 will be implemented in the fall of 2026 and will fill the new Southwest Elementary School, as well as balance enrollments among the remaining elementary schools in the Southwest Corridor. The list on the right details the major dates remaining in this process. On June 5th, the final options will be introduced at the Long Range Planning Committee meeting. The final options will then be reviewed by the board at their regularly scheduled meeting on June 10th. We will be holding open house meetings on June 11th at the Aslan Administration Center in the boardroom. We invite stakeholders to attend these meetings to ask questions and gain a better understanding about the options and this process. The board will then be provided with the feedback from the community once the survey closes. We are anticipating a board vote on phases 2 and 3 on July 8th. These are the attendance area change guidelines approved by the Board of Education. It is important to note that the options you will see later in this presentation have varying levels of effectiveness compared to each guideline. These are meant to guide the process, but cannot always be accomplished as they oftentimes are in direct contradiction of each other. Please feel free to pause this video to review the attendance area change guidelines. Next, we will review the initial 5 options that were presented to the community at the end of April. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option 1. Each of the maps and metrics that I will be sharing are showing the end state attendance areas and metrics, meaning the phase 3 changes. 29% of survey respondents supported this option, while 63% did not support this option. Some of the comments made about this option are that it increased commute times for some, and there were safety concerns with inexperienced drivers on the highway. Some stated that the feeder pattern splits were not ideal. Some appreciated the balanced future utilizations at the high schools, and some neighborhoods preferred option 1 because it kept their area intact in attending the same schools. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option 2. 35% of survey respondents supported this option, while 54% did not support this option. Some of the comments made were that it moved the fewest number of students, and there were concerns about increased commute times and the impact to walkability. There were also concerns about the socioeconomic impact to several schools. Some appreciated that option 2 maintained highways as natural boundary lines. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option 3. 31% of survey respondents supported this option, while 59% did not support this option. Some of the comments made are that it would require longer commutes or crossing major highways, and there were concerns about proximity and impacting students that could potentially walk to school. There were also logistical concerns with drop-off and pickup and extracurriculars. Some respondents liked that it minimized multiple attendance area changes over the past few years. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option 4. 52% of survey respondents supported this option, while 37% did not support this option. Some of the comments made are that it improved feeder patterns, but there were concerns about students crossing major highways to get to school, specifically at the high school level. Many felt that this option maintained neighborhood cohesiveness, and some appreciated the low number of students moved at the secondary level. And lastly, we have the map and metrics for option 5. 19% of survey respondents supported this option, while 69% did not support this option. Some of the comments made were that it offered longer commute times in crossing busy intersections, and there were concerns about economic disparity among schools. Some appreciated the clean middle to high school feeder patterns, while others were concerned about multiple attendance area changes over the past few years. I will next share our final options. These options are based on the stakeholder feedback that we received from the initial 5 options. The options are not in any particular order, nor do the names indicate any preference of the options. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option A1. The only difference between options A1 and A2 is at the elementary level in the Southwest Corridor. The middle and high school attendance areas are the same in both A options. In this option, the high school attendance areas will remain the same as they are today. Option A1 balances the current and future utilizations at the elementary level and relieves the overutilization at the middle school level. Because this option does not change the high school attendance areas, we cannot expect much longevity, as Rockbridge High School is projected to continue to grow. It is important to note that because we maintain 100% feeders from middle to high school, the middle schools in the Southwest Corridor could also quickly become overutilized as development continues. These maps are showing the areas of change. Again, this would be our end state, so after phase 3 has been implemented. The background colors in each map are showing the current attendance areas at that level, and the hashed overlays are showing the areas of change. On the right, we have our feeder charts. This option offers overall improved feeders from elementary to middle, and then maintains 100% feeders from middle to high school. There are currently 11 feeder splits from elementary to middle, and this option reduces the number of splits to 6. I'd like to note that the percentages associated with Jefferson Middle are only related to the Jefferson attendance area. Jefferson Middle School takes students from throughout the district, and students that attend Jefferson move on to every high school. This option would move 1,605 students. This option slightly reduces the number of elementary students attending their closest school, while slightly increasing the number of middle school students attending their closest school. The map on the left is showing the phase 2 changes associated with this option. All middle and high school changes will occur during phase 2, as well as the east side elementary school changes. Phase 3 only impacts the elementary schools that are on the west side of the district due to the opening of the new Southwest Elementary School. Please note that anyone moved in phase 2 would not be moved again in phase 3. The attendance area locator also has the phases broken down so you can see exactly where your address would attend in each phase. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option A2. The only difference between options A1 and A2 is at the elementary level in the Southwest Corridor. The middle and high school attendance areas are the same in both A options. In this option, the high school attendance areas will remain the same as they are today. Option A2 balances the current and future utilizations at the elementary level and relieves the overutilization at the middle school level. Because this option does not change the high school attendance areas, we cannot expect much longevity as Rockbridge High School is projected to continue to grow. It is important to note that because we maintain 100% feeders from middle to high school, the middle schools in the Southwest Corridor could also quickly become overutilized as development continues. These maps are showing the areas of change. Again, this would be our end state, so after phase 3 has been implemented. The background colors in each map are showing the current attendance areas at that level, and the hashed overlays are showing the areas of change. On the right, we have our feeder charts. This option offers overall improved feeders from elementary to middle, and then maintains 100% feeders from middle to high school. There are currently 11 feeder splits from elementary to middle, and this option reduces the number of splits to 8. This option would move with 1,632 students. It slightly reduces the number of elementary students attending their closest school, while slightly increasing the number of middle school students attending their closest school. The map on the left is showing the phase 2 changes associated with this option. All middle and high school changes will occur during phase 2, as well as the east side elementary school changes. Phase 3 only impacts the elementary schools that are on the west side of the district due to the opening of the new Southwest Elementary School. Please note that anyone moved in phase 2 would not be moved again in phase 3. The attendance area locator also has the phases broken down so you can see exactly where your address would attend in each phase. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option B1. The only difference between options B1 and B2 is at the middle and high school levels. The elementary attendance areas are the same in both B options. Option B1 balances the current and future utilizations at the elementary level and relieves the overutilization at the middle school level. It offers some utilization relief at the high school level, although the changes are minimal compared to the initial options. These maps are showing the areas of change. Again, this would be our end state, so after phase 3 has been implemented. The background colors in each map are showing the current attendance areas at that level, and the hashed overlays are showing the areas of change. On the right, we have our feeder charts. There are currently 11 feeder splits from elementary to middle, and this option reduces the number of splits to 8, while also maintaining 100% feeders from middle to high school. This option would move 1,786 students. The option maintains a similar number of elementary students attending the closest school. It improves the number of middle schoolers attending the closest school, and slightly decreases the number of high schoolers attending their geographically closest school. The map on the left is showing the phase 2 changes associated with this option. All middle and high school changes will occur during phase 2, as well as the east side elementary school changes. Phase 3 only impacts the elementary schools that are on the west side of the district due to the opening of the new Southwest Elementary School. Please note that anyone moved in Phase 2 would not be moved again in Phase 3. The attendance area locator also has the phases broken down so you can see exactly where your address would attend in each phase. This slide is showing the map and metrics for option B2. The difference between options B1 and B2 is at the middle and high school levels. The elementary attendance areas are the same in both B options. Option B2 balances the current and future utilizations at the elementary level and relieves the overutilization at the middle school level. It offers some utilization relief to Rockbridge High School, but in doing so, overutilizes Hickman High School. These maps are showing the areas of change. Again, this would be our end state, so after Phase 3 has been implemented. The background colors in each map are showing the current attendance areas at that level, and the hashed overlays are showing the areas of change. On the right, we have our feeder charts. There are currently 11 feeder splits from elementary to middle. This option reduces the number of splits to 6, while also maintaining 100% feeders from middle to high school. This option would move 2,162 students. The option maintains a similar number of elementary students attending the closest school. It slightly improves the number of middle schoolers attending the closest school, and slightly decreases the number of high school students attending the geographically closest school. The map on the left is showing the Phase 2 changes associated with this option. All middle and high school changes will occur during Phase 2, as well as the East Side Elementary School changes. Phase 3 only impacts the elementary schools that are on the west side of the district due to the opening of the new Southwest Elementary School. Please note that anyone moved in Phase 2 would not be moved again in Phase 3. The attendance area locator has the phases broken down so you can see exactly where your address would fall in each phase. Just as with the last round of options, we will now be asking for your feedback regarding the final options. If you have questions, we will be holding open houses on June 11th in the boardroom at the Aslan Administration Center. We will have 2 meetings, one from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the other from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Community members are encouraged to attend. During the open houses, we will have the same materials available that are on the project website, and we will be available for questions about the options presented or the process. An online survey will also be available until June 14th at 5:30 p.m. This survey can be accessed using the QR code on this slide or the link on the project website. The attendance area locator is available both on the project website and within the survey. The locator allows you to enter your address and see your attendance area assignments associated with each phase and option. It also allows you to zoom in and see exactly where the lines are drawn in each phase and option. We encourage you to take a survey even if you are not impacted by these options. All the feedback that we receive will be used to inform the recommendations for this process. Thank you for taking the time to review the final attendance area options for phases 2 and 3. We hope to see you at the open houses on June 11th.
And just to reiterate, we do invite the community to come out for those 2 listening sessions here at Aslan. Both will be one at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the second will be from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The survey is live now and it will be uploaded on our district website starting first thing in the morning. At this time, I'll take any specific questions regarding the timeline.
No, yeah, just briefly, if my fellow colleagues that are on the board, since we will get another presentation on Monday, if we could prioritize our questions coming from our community members on the committee, if y'all are okay with that. For y'all, do y'all have any questions around the timeline for Mr. Ofield? Okay.
Okay.
April?
The survey appears to be live now.
Okay. Oh, great. Great job, communications. Let's see.
The only thing, I mean, the attendance area, the maps can be difficult to look at, especially like zooming in. The area locator, that is by far and away the easiest way to figure out where you are and where you could potentially be going. You put your address in there and it tells you option A1, this is what you would be in phase 1 or phase 2, this is where you'd be phase 3. That just, it answers all of the questions just instantly. I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
When people ask me, I'm just like, what's your address? Well, this is where you'd be. So
Yeah,
This
you don't have to
easy-
click the legend on anything like that. If you type in your physical address of where you live, there's a little window that if you're on a computer, a window that pops up on like the left side, and it shows each of those options and outlines where you are going currently, where any of the options would change anything.
And I did want to make this notice. So from the listening sessions, we did hear from the community. One of the main concerns is the way the maps was printed out. So what we did, we have two separate maps, one for secondary and one for elementary. So you can easily kind of pinpoint if your scholars are in elementary, you can just look at the elementary map. If they're in secondary, you can just look at the secondary map to kind of help you kind of figure out where you place.
Okay, so, why is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Well, she did in
And
some.
then I was like holding it and.
There we
Okay,
go.
so, because these talk about, not changing the high school and then having issues with overcrowding at high school, and this may be a question for later, is the thought that we would be in the same situation a few years from now, or is there expansions for high school? I mean, because we are gonna be dealing with overcrowding at high schools, in particular, the one I know talked about Hickman, which is our oldest high school, so it's harder to update. So I didn't know when any of those discussions might happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, that question is, I think, what's been on the board's mind as we've looked at this and looked at the feedback. I think one of the things that, from my perspective of looking at stuff, it goes, if we option A1 and A2 don't change the high school boundaries, both the option Bs do make some changes. Either way, I do think it both goes into having to have a conversation around what do we do, where are we looking at, do we need to build a new building, do we need to look at some different programmatic things. So yeah, and I would say that we've been talking on long range, right, this past year
Right.
about really trying to think around our future bonds to be about deferred maintenance. I think as we've looked at this and gone through this process, for me and from my perspective, the recommendation would be that maybe we have to stall that hope of wanting to go do that for our most coming bond, for the reason potentially of needing to have some additional spacing at high schools or additional programming.
Right, because I understand people don't want their scholars to change schools. I understand all of that. I have a student in school as well and would be entering, but we also have space issues, and we have a high school that's so much newer than other high schools that we need to take full advantage of as well. And just doing this, hiring consulting firms and all of that is also an expense the district is paying, and so I would hate to have to turn around and do this again if that were, the option that were selected. So I just want to put that out there.
And I would say too, I mean, when we were looking at the map options, the first round of those, right? All of that, and even here, right, we get to that point in 2028 where we're going to be at the same issue of overutilization. And so I think it's something that we are just going to have to continue looking at. And so it does just come into the question of, do we ride it out and tough it out and see, does population change as we get closer to 2028? And is that where we see our max overutilization and slowly a little bit of decrease? Or does it really become, nope, that's not really what we're seeing? So yeah.
I would agree with Blake, no matter what we select at the high school level, we're still going to be busting at the seams by 2028. I was encouraged, I know Lizelle might be able to talk a little bit to it. We explored a little bit about how overcrowded Rockbridge really is, because all the schools have kids that go to Career Center and dual enrolled in MAC, but Rockbridge has the added benefit of AUT, and they have a lot of students there at any given period that aren't actually in the building as well. So that's helpful to a certain extent, at least there for the time being. But one of the things too from this whole process is I personally am very impressed at all the feedback that they took and created these maps, because I think it addresses a lot of the feedback that we received. But you're right, we need to, of course, think long-term and what we're going to do with spacing.
we are reaching our hard stop in 5 minutes. Are there any other questions just on timeline or thinking and I appreciate talking about some of this future stuff of what the board from y'all's perspective should probably be thinking about if we haven't started thinking about that as individuals. Sometimes the conversations don't really get going until a little bit after this decision gets made, right? Because currently our conversations are, what's this decision here? And then thinking once there, all right, these are the ramifications, and then how do we keep on going? So just for the public's sake, I mean, it might be that those conversations you don't see happening in the immediate, but I would say that they're going to occur.
I would imagine sometime this year.
Good. I do have one more comment or acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to recognize Mr. Randy Gooch for will be his last long-range committee meeting. And so I really want to say thank you. You've been solid during this transition. I really appreciate you answering all my questions, dealing with me, sharing your office. So I just want to thank you and happy retirement. Wish you well. Thank you.
Randy, will you be at the board meeting on Monday?
I think so.
Okay. So with that, if there's no other discussion, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All right, I have a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please do the same. We are adjourned at 5:42. Thank y'all very much, and y'all have a wonderful evening for those that are heading out.